welcome back to my channel. So today I am here to share with you guys my updated origin story, why I went to dental school after pharmacy school. For those of you guys that are new here, what took you so long? Just kidding, my name is Connie and I am a second year dental student at Tufts University in Boston. I graduated from pharmacy school in 2019 and just went straight into dental school. Now, I actually posted this video about a year and a half ago, but it looks like it was shot in the 90s. Like, I don't know what camera I was using or what I thought I was doing. I'm so embarrassed if you had to watch that video before. I'm sorry I put you through that. But I promise you, this video today is 10 times better. The quality is already better. And I think I have a lot more insight now because I'm basically almost halfway through dental school. So I have more, wisdom under my belt. Am I also emotionally, spiritually, and physically broken from dental school too? Yes, but that's for another time. I also have like 5 exams coming up next week that I should be studying for. So let's just get into this, shall we? So growing up, I was two things. I was a dweeby, artsy kid, and I was also always picked last for kickball. I'm just kidding. I'm still always picked last for kickball. No, okay, so I was definitely like the artsy dweeby kid, but I was also always the kid on the playground that loved to play like doctor or healer, like whenever we were playing those kid games, Or for example, if any kid like skinned their knee, I was always to rush over and want to help out. Basically, I always knew that I wanted to help heal people and make people feel better. And obviously, as a good little Asian kid, that meant becoming a doctor. But in high school, when it came time to figuring what major I wanted to apply for and what I actually wanted to be, which for some reason society expects you to know when you're like 18 years old and like haven't really fully developed up there, can't really make good decisions. I didn't know exactly what it was in healthcare that I wanted to pursue. I didn't really know the difference between the daily tasks of a doctor versus pharmacist versus dentist. Not to mention at 18, I also wasn't emotionally aware of myself enough to know my strengths and weaknesses, my likes and dislikes. So what it actually came down to was just finances. I knew the best financial option for me was to attend my state school, which is also where my parents worked because I got free tuition. And the best healthcare related program at this school was the accelerated 6-year Doctor of Pharmacy program. Basically, you just do 2 years of undergrad straight out of high school, and then if you have a certain GPA, then you're accepted straight to do 4 more years of pharmacy school. So to be able to graduate debt-free and have such an advanced and accelerated doctorate degree, it was kind of just like a no-brainer. And guess what? I freaking loved it, okay? Who doesn't love college? College is like the best time of your life. But this was also just a very confusing time in my life because I always told myself, if you don't like the pharmacy program and all that, you can switch out in the first 2 years of undergrad before you start the commitment of the 4 years of pharmacy school. But honestly, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was so focused on getting good grades and making friends and, living in college that the idea of switching out and, leaving that whole life that I was comfortable with seemed so foreign and scary to me. What happened was I thought I wanted to live the pharmacy student life here. I was an orientation leader. I was super involved in my pharmacy sorority. I was involved in the school spirit organization on campus that planned like homecoming and all that stuff. In movies, those like overly enthusiastic camp counselors that like wear the khakis and like wave the pom-poms in your face. Yeah, I was that person. I was Pom-Pom Patty. I suddenly just fixated so much of my identity on being that pharmacy student, extracurricular involved pom-pom queen. And as I've gotten older, I've realized there's nothing really as detrimental as fixating so much of your identity on something extrinsic like title, because that really affects your ability to grow. It affects your ability to be honest with yourself. And it affects your ability to be authentic too. I think it's easier to hide behind a label and always show up as a character because you know what people expect from you, rather than, the scary thought of just being yourself. So yeah, no surprise, I loved school so much, so I didn't end up switching out of the program. In hindsight, I really should have done my due diligence and shadowed some pharmacists to see what being a pharmacist was really like. But hey, silly 18, 20-year-old, just doesn't make good decisions. Anyways, I finished those 2 years of undergrad, pharmacy school comes around, and I am excited. I am ready to learn some new stuff, be a real serious pharmacy student. And yeah, I mean, it sucked. Pharmacy school freaking sucked. It was ridiculously hard. I think people out there still to this day underestimate pharmacy school because honestly, it's not just memorizing. The didactics are so complicated and practicing the art of medicine is such like a puzzle. So what really ended up hitting me was I realized that whenever professors lectured us about certain like diseases, for example, I thought learning about the disease was interesting, but when it came time to learning about the treatment, what drug to give, how the drug works, the doses of the drug and interactions, my brain just like turned off. It's like my brain was just like incapable of feeling excited or interesting in that topic. And that's basically all the bread and butter of pharmacy. That's what pharmacy is. And I had this thought and attitude like, oh, okay, like someone else can always deal with that, until one day I was studying and I was like, wait a minute. Oh my god, I'm supposed to be that someone? I realized that while I loved being this like pharmacy student persona and, you know, living this life, someday, sooner than I expected, I would have to graduate and then be that real life pharmacist that had those real life problems that I didn't want to worry about. At this point, I was also working as a pharmacy intern at a hospital, hated that. Was also doing an internship at a popular retail chain pharmacy, hated that. So things weren't looking too good. And on top of all that, you know that amazing orientation leader job that I talked about before? They didn't want me to be Pom Pom Patty anymore. Yeah, I actually was not rehired to do that job, and to this day, that's probably the worst heartbreak that I've ever endured, was that rejection. It was so heartbreaking to me because I had made so many friends from that job, and I felt like family with everyone there. So when I was rejected from that, it almost felt like my own family at school was rejecting me. And that rejection completely changed the trajectory of the rest of my life. And you wanna know why? Because it was then that I realized I can't hide behind a job title anymore. Who is Connie? In this world where no one is safe from being let go, being rejected, having things not go their way, we cannot be defined by extrinsic plans, extrinsic jobs, and extrinsic titles, anything. The only thing we can do to create our identities is to just be who we are. And I realized, you know, I could stop pretending to like pharmacy. So since I was so burnt out and, you know, questioning my existence, I turned to what I knew and loved, which was from an early age, those arts and crafts I talked about. But if you remember, from an early age, I also loved helping and healing people too, and I didn't want to give up on that dream. So I thought to myself, I wish there was a career where I get to work with my hands and be creative and use that to be able to heal and help other people feel better. And then slowly but surely, ding ding ding, I realized that dentistry was it. Now this might be where you say happily ever after, I run off into the sunset and I get into dental school. But really the battle was just beginning. Here I was, only 1 year out of 4 years of a program, realizing that I wasn't in the right profession. That brings me to my first frequently asked question. Why did I finish pharmacy school first if I knew from so early on that I didn't like it? You have to look at it this way. I still had to do so much in order to even be able to apply to go to dental school. I had to take physics as a prereq, so I had to take that over my summer vacation. I had to study for the DAT exam, which normally people study over 8 weeks, 2 months-ish, but I only had 4 weeks of winter vacation, so I had to cram it all into those. By the way, I have a YouTube video all about how I crammed for studying for the DAT into 4 weeks. If you guys are in a time pinch and want to check that out, I'll put it in the box down below. I also needed lots of time to be able to work on my application essays and get the right letter of recommendation. And on top of all of that, I also had to get enough shadowing in, not only to, you know, apply to school, but also to be able to know that I'm making the right decision here. So I ended up shadowing my dentist from home, and I ended up working as his part-time dental assistant too while I finished up pharmacy school. But with all of this in mind, this meant that by the time I finished all of these tasks, I would be a 4th year pharmacy student anyways, and I would be on rotations, which is basically where you just, you know, work for free at a bunch of different sites for 1 whole year. I basically considered being a 4th year in pharmacy school like having a gap year, because I knew that I would still have the time to go apply to dental schools and go out on interviews and stuff like that. With this built-in gap year and with nothing to lose really, this just seemed like the best option. Alternatively, if I had dropped out of pharmacy school, I would have to be like, go back to being like a bio major or something like that. And after even doing 1 whole year of so much extensive clinical medical type knowledge, I didn't want to go back to just basic biology anymore. So basically I just wanted to see this through. I wanted to finish my degree, and I knew that I would be a much stronger applicant, dentist, and just future provider overall if I just finished this. And honestly, in hindsight, I am very thankful that I finished my pharmacy degree first. Not only is it an amazing degree and toolkit and experience that I'll always have, it was also really fundamentally helpful to be able to compare and contrast pharmacy and dentistry while simultaneously doing both, because there were some days where from like 7 a.m. to noon I would go and work as a part-time dental assistant, and then in the afternoon that same day I would go on to pharmacy school. And that helped me compare and contrast what I didn't like about pharmacy and why I was so passionate and motivated to get into dental school. That was able to get me through the late nights of studying after all my classmates were done with their schoolwork for the day. That helped me during the summer vacations while all my classmates were vacationing and working, for me to be grinding in the library studying for physics and catching up. These were really hard times, but I also want to highlight that this was such a pivotal time in my experience because I have the best memories of working as a part-time dental assistant, and this is where I first truly fell in love with the craft. And now, as you can assume, the rest is history. I am now almost halfway done through dental school, which is just crazy. I'm not questioning our decision or anything. Totally not questioning my existence and a shell of the human I used to be. Just kidding. I'm so thankful now that I can look back and really like connect the dots of why everything happened. Hey guys, this is me editing right now, looking a little rough. But I just wanted to come on and say that I have to recognize that I had a very unique financial situation with this whole thing, being able to graduate debt-free and having free tuition for pharmacy school. So I think that's something that you guys have to keep in mind, because had I not had that unique financial opportunity, I don't really think that I would be able to pursue dental school after pharmacy school. I'm just being honest with you guys. Both are very big financial commitments, so before you guys make any big jumps like that, it's really important to think about your long-term goals, your priorities, and your financial situation. And that leads me to another question that people always ask: why not medical school? I feel like I honestly chose the two professions that like everyone thinks is like a fake doctor. I just had to choose the two most, you're not a real doctor type jobs. Basically, it came down to two things. If I wanted to pursue a career in something like clinical medicine type stuff, I think I would have rather just done like a clinical pharmacy residency instead. A lot of people don't realize how clinical the pharmacy profession is nowadays, because there's residencies in things like cardiology, ICU, ER, organ transplant, oncology, like anything you name it. So if I had really wanted to go that route, I think I would have just either specialized in pharmacy, or honestly, I would have just gone to medical school if I wanted to pursue medicine like that. But in medicine, I just felt like there was no real career path similar to dentistry, where like in one appointment, start to finish, you could really see like the before and after difference in such a short amount of time, the way that you do when you fix a tooth or do a filling or something like that. Like, I liked that immediate satisfaction. And I also just loved the amount of artistry that dentistry provided, because it's so much of like choosing the right shade, choosing the right material to work with, using the right instruments, and, you know, working with the material. I really do feel like I'm in art school every single day. Just really stressful art school. And I guess you could argue that there's like plastic and cosmetic surgery that I could have done instead. But honestly, what I love about dentistry that medicine didn't provide as much is I love how much entrepreneurship and business ownership there is in dentistry. I love that with dentistry, I could graduate and open my own practice straight out of school and not have to do like years and years of a residency and a fellowship to surgically work on patients the way it is with medicine. And on top of all of that, I just really like teeth, man. I don't know. There, I said it. There is a reason why I like sort of like the clinical material in pharmacy school, but didn't really love it. And that's just because there is just something about the oral health and teeth that I'm so fascinated by. And I didn't really realize this, I guess, until I was even in dental school learning all of this. I love that your mouth is basically like its own microbiome, and it's like separate but also connected to the rest of your body. I love the systemic ties like diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. I love learning about like the chemistry and the physiology of the teeth. I love learning about the different pathologies and types of diseases in the mouth. Above all, I also really love how misunderstood or also poorly understood the oral health is, and how much fear and anxiety there is with that, because it's something that we're not really taught a lot of growing up. So I love being part of this like small secret society of people that know like every nook and cranny of every tooth, because then I feel like I can empower my patients and give back to them by educating them about all this stuff that they would never know about otherwise. And I think it's like the most empowering thing for me when I see a very fearful, anxious dental patient and I can completely change how they feel about dentistry, and even change how they see themselves and their own power to affect their health. If people truly understand how important your teeth and your oral health is, people would definitely take better care of their mouths. Anyways, that is my long-winded explanation of my origin story. I hope you enjoyed this. I shared a lot more than I did in my previous video, and I just really hope that if this shows you anything, it shows you that it's never too late to give up on your dreams and start all over again. That's okay. And it's okay if you end up somewhere different than you initially thought, and it's okay if you're gonna have to change plans. And B, I just hope that someday this shows that everything will always make sense and everything will work out the way that it's supposed to in the end. Best of luck to any of you guys watching this. I would love to hear where you guys are in your journeys and what you guys are thinking, so comment down below where you are in school, what you want to be, and you know, if you have any questions at all, I'm so happy to answer and help out anyone that wants to go through a career transition or is considering it at all. And yeah, thank you so much for embarking on this journey with me, following along and watching all my vlogs. It's a fun time. Please subscribe down below if you guys like to see more dental school content, and follow me on Instagram, same name, @thefarmerdental, if you want to follow along for the daily nitty-gritty of what it's like to be a dental student. I'll see you guys next week.